We were teaching in Columbus the other day, and I love it. I wish I'd have found this out, Mary, before we taught the class. But Mary comes up to me at the end of the class, and she's talking about, because part of what I taught was wealth building and the path to 100 million that we took, and part of it, of course, big is profit share. And so Mary comes up to me after the class and says, "Oh, let me kind of tell you what I've been doing." So I'm like, "Whoa, we need that on the podcast."
Welcome to the Profit Share Mastery Podcast with your hosts, Linda and Pres McKissack.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Profit Share Mastery Podcast. I'm Linda McKissack.
And I'm Pres McKissack.
I had to think for a second, what podcast am I on? So I'm super excited. We have Mary McMichael on with us today, and she's going to kind of share a little bit. We always like to kick off and say, Mary, you were born, then what happened? How'd you get to real estate?
Okay. Well, I was born, went to Ohio State, got my degree in hospitality management, and was working in the restaurant industry for like 10 years, doing management, those kind of things. Kind of got frustrated with that, so I ended up waiting tables, trying to figure out what I wanted to do when I grew up. And someone suggested real estate, and so I got my real estate license. I've been selling now for 27 years, and have a single mom, raised 2 kids, and now that I've got more time to focus on something other than the kids, I've been wanting to do profit share for a while. I've kind of dabbled in it, but I really wanted to get serious about it. And so last year, I think it was, I sat in on one of the webinars that Pres held, and I thought, oh, I should do this, and didn't do it. And so this year, I sat on it again, and I said, I'm doing this. And, as soon as the webinar was over, I committed. And that was, I think, back in March. And I had a little trouble getting set up, but you guys were great. Yeah. And by May, I was up and running and going to town.
That's awesome. So I want to back up a little bit, too, because I think there's a pivotal moment, and I think a lot of people sit on the sidelines on profit share, and they just don't do anything. Can you kind of go back, and do you remember before you did Pres's program, and then we'll dig into that a little bit, but do you even remember when you first heard about profit share, and did you just kind of poo-poo it off and say, I got to sell houses? Kind of walk me through some of your discovery around share.
When I was recruited to Keller Williams, the gal that recruited me, she talked a little bit about profit share, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. And that's where, I'm not really an outgoing person. I'm more of an introvert, high SC, no I. And so, talking to other people about it was really awkward for me.
Okay.
And so I didn't really push it, but if it came up, I would certainly have the conversation. And over the years, I've sponsored a couple people into Keller Williams, and, a few of them have left. So, but I just never felt comfortable with it. And I couldn't imagine, and I understand the relationship building aspect. I truly do. But I mean, for me, if I had my druthers, I would be a little hermit in a cave. So just talking to people, is a challenge for me, in that regard. So I needed something where I didn't have to necessarily approach them, where they would approach me.
Yeah.
And that's the way I always did profit share, which is why I didn't do it well in the past.
Right.
And when I heard about Pres's system, I'm like, okay, this is what I need. Because this is the way I lead generate.
Yeah.
And so I do lead generation with Facebook ads. And so I used to, back in the day, cold call when you could do that when I first got started, because I could call people I didn't know all day long and not be offended if they hung up on me or something like that. But if I'm talking to somebody I know and they reject it, then it's like, ooh, yeah, and did I just ruin something? Or, it's just that mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah, like my friend Dean Jackson says, no one ever minds going to the receiving dock.
That's right.
So
no one
I need them to call me.
Never minds if we do the sit-ups and you get the 6-pack.
There you go. That works for me.
I'm curious, because you said this is so true. I talked to a lot of people who are like, I've been on your presentation 2 or 3 times before I finally pulled the trigger. What was it the difference between the first time and the second time? Like, what was Press just really good the second time, or?
No, it was all about the mindset for me. The first time I knew I needed to do it. But I had other things going on, and I wasn't there mentally. I knew I needed to do it, but I just couldn't make myself pull the trigger. And then the second time it was, Mary, if you keep waiting, you're not young anymore. You're going to miss the opportunity. And so you can either do it now or look back the whole time and regret it.
Yeah, and wish you had. So
and I think leaders need to hear that messages, if you know it's good for your people, you've got to repeat the message and not feel bad about repeating the message, because you never know when that person is ready to make that commitment and do something different.
Yeah. And honestly, I mean, we talk about profit share in the market centers, but I don't think we talk about it enough.
Yeah.
About generating it and how it can be easy.
Yeah.
And that there are different ways to do it. Because, when you look at what you guys talk about, you were saying in class the other day, one gal does it with co-ops. And she's got a great system. And I'm thinking in my head, I need to look that up and find out which webcast she talked about so that I can watch that and see how to do it with co-ops too.
Yeah. And it's a real system. You'd love it. It's not it's a system that happens automatically. Well,
systems are what brought me to Press, because I'm all about systems in my business and in that. So.
Well, and real quick, I want to make sure for those who are listening, what Mary's talking about, when you look at the history of profit share, right? We always equate it to like the Linda method, which is what we would call the influential agent model. And that's for the last 30 years of KW probably. That has been the way you grow your downline, which is I build my business, I get influence, I talk to people about profit share, and it's limited geographically really to where you are or where people learn about you and your influence. And that model works for some people. What's challenging about that model, to Mary's point, is it requires you to be the one to go out and to influence people and start relationships. And there are, not everyone wants to do that. In fact, I would say that there are less Lindas, influential agent people, than there are people who maybe are more interested in systems-based. So that leads to, over the last 10 years in KW, there's been a revolution around how you can build your profit share.
Right.
And that is with more of the systems side, right? And really a more getting in relationship with newer agents and people who are getting into the industry and or moving states and things like that. And so that's opened up the opportunity, thanks to the internet and to some amazing people in KW who kind of pioneered this model, the ability for us to build our downline in a different way, which is what Mary's saying that she's been doing since May of this year.
May. And I've actually been working with people from other countries as well.
Oh, wow.
Amazing.
So I get leads not only from the U.S. and all over the U.S., but also I've got a recruit in England that's working right now to move to the United States, and she's interviewing for a team leader position.
That's
so,
awesome.
Great.
And when she first contacted me, I was going to connect her up with the UK Keller Williams, because she's an agent there. But it turned out through our conversations, she has a boyfriend here and she wants to move here. I've sent recruits to the Philippines and I don't remember where else, but all over India, all sorts of places. Because when I run my ads, I do it as a remote job, and so I get all over the place.
Yeah. And I think that's a surprise that we got whenever the press kind of originally did the system, was we weren't really expecting, 6 or 7% to be already licensed, and we certainly weren't expecting other countries. But I think Robert Bell from International right off the bat got somebody, I think, from, was it him that got somebody from Turkey or Meredith?
I can't remember.
Somebody, one of our KWRI people who actually are doing the system. So I'd like to hear a little bit about, what I love is talking to people after they've been doing the system, kind of what are some of the blessings or victories that you had that you didn't realize would be part of running the system and doing it. Like, when you talk to people, what have been some of the things that you've discovered about the opportunity to do this?
First off, I'm the expert when they call. So that's really fun. And it's just, I mean, I'm meeting people in all stages of life and all different reasons for wanting to be an agent. And so it's really fun just to talk with them, find out their background, get to know them a little bit, and just, you know, when you make a connection to the market center for them, they are so grateful.
Yeah.
And my plan is to actually stay in touch afterwards to get them doing profit share eventually.
Yeah. Yes.
But yeah, just you know, the wide variety, you know, all over the world, people that I get to talk to. It's just kind of fun.
Yeah, Press and I always say what it adds to what we already do is a little bit of significance, because I'm sure you could say the same thing that he and I can say. Joining Keller Williams or being a part of Keller Williams has changed our life.
Yeah.
And where it actually really gets rewarding is later when they start thanking you for changing their life, you know, and pointing them in this direction. And I think the significance is a piece that people don't even realize until they start doing this, that, man, this feels great to help people get in a great industry and in the great company.
It's the favorite part of my day is when I'm doing my profit share lead gen time, is just following up with the people and stuff. And then the other thing about the whole system is just how very simple it is, because it's so turnkey. I mean, literally, I wouldn't have to do anything other than run the ad and set the appointments, or I didn't even have to set the appointments. They set them, answer the phone calls if I didn't want to. But I did tweak it a little bit and add a few of my own things in there. And that's been really fun because it's caused more engagement.
Yeah.
And so they're knowing me better. And I think that helps when it comes time to put me down as their sponsor.
Yeah.
Because, oh my God, Mary's been supporting me this whole time. She's been sending me words of encouragement, those kind of things. So they feel like they know me.
Yeah.
Well, so Mary, if you're okay with it, don't keep all your secrets to yourself. Like, what have you added into the system to improve it, to make it better?
Well, the first thing I did was when I get new, not in school people, I set up I have like a series of 3 or 4 text messages I'll send. And it's, you know, thanks for reaching out. Where are you at, you know, in your education? And if I don't get a response, the next one is, hey, have you signed up for classes yet? And then I'll do like 3 weeks later, what's holding you back kind of question. And then I didn't initially get started with K-Score, but then the next one after that is, hey, if it's money, you might qualify for this. And then I now have 9 people in the K-Score program.
That's
Yay,
great.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's a new twist, honestly, because, you know, in Ohio, you don't even have K-Score
No,
yet.
we don't.
But
And
the
so,
thing is, you can use it all the other places.
and I'll look up, because there are a few other states that really don't have it, but I'll look up to see where they're at. And if they're in one of those states that offers it, then I just send that last text. Otherwise, I'll just let the system take over at that point.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is there's a Facebook group that comes with your program. And I was playing around in that, and there was one gal who posted this whole series of, for people who are in classes, kind of inspirational stuff. Yep. And so I just took all that and put it in the system. And so I send those text messages out each week to my leads. And, you know, some people don't want the texts and they'll unsubscribe, and that's fine. And some people most people are just like, oh my God, thank you so much for the encouragement, you know, and so that's been fun. And then recently I just added, you know, it comes pre-built with plans in it.
Yeah.
But I added a couple plans for people who I mean, you always have people who you set the appointment with the market center and then they never go.
Yep.
So I've got a plan now set up for people who ghosted the market center. Or somebody who set up a call with me and then canceled for some reason and never rescheduled. So I have a follow-up plan to get them to reschedule.
Yeah.
And I've got a follow-up plan. I don't have this one in the system yet, but I'm devising a follow-up plan for the people who are in my downline. So like one of the first things I do, once they've joined and they're in it, I'll wait like a month and then I'll reach out and see how they're doing. And however their response is, I say, well, have you started building your team yet? And no. We mean, well, you need a home inspector, a lender, and I'll kind of list them off. And I said, I have a great lender. He's licensed in 49 states. Can I provide an introduction? Well, my lender loves that.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's great.
And so he's really happy to help me in all marketing.
Does he love it enough to help pay for some extra ads?
Yeah, he does.
That's a great
That's
idea.
a great idea, Mary. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so he's and I've referred him probably 9 people.
That's good.
That's great.
And the beautiful thing, Mary, is they're brand new. They don't have any relationship.
Exactly, and that's what I
Their
told him.
chance.
Yeah.
And I love the brand new people. I really do. I mean, I'll take the experienced people, but the brand new people, they're the ones who are the future leaders, who are the people who are going to be in long after I'm out of it.
Yeah.
And they're going to be the ones who are continually paying me over time. So
Yeah.
I love the new ones.
I love it. Well, a couple things you said. You know, I love that you have a system for when people go to the market center or don't keep your appointment. Because how many times have you and I, and probably Press, not done something right away because it's not convenient, but you're so thankful when somebody else reaches back out to remind you
Yep.
Absolutely.
or to trigger your brain. Oh, yes, I was wanting to do that. It just wasn't a good time right then. So
Yeah.
I love that.
And then I have another, I just thought of this one. I have another system that I just set up in there that is for people who choose not to go with Keller Williams right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
And that's because they are, and it's all just, I think it's a 5-year plan, and it's just touching them and sending useful information to help them and continue to build the relationship, and then just touching back, over time to see if they're, are you ready to make a change?
Yeah, I love
And
it.
it was so simple because I just used ChatGPT to create it all.
Yeah.
That's so smart.
Pasted.
Yeah, I love it. And we have so much value, like the what is the book, the playbook, and all the
Yeah.
things. Have you seen our great playbook that has all these plays? There's so many things. I love that. And the system makes it easy for you to do that. One of the reasons that we switched to this system is because it could do so much more, right? And it does so much automatically for everybody that I think, Press and I didn't understand in the beginning why people didn't just do what he and Nick had done. And then we realized people want it done for them. And if you can do a system that'll do it for as much as you can for them, then you're going to have more success. People are going to use it and have more success.
But what's great, what Mary's done is Mary's taken
Blessed it.
She said it before, right? It's comes simple, done for you. And then she saw ways to improve upon it that worked for her and how she wants to do it for her best practices. And so then she just layered on pieces as it makes sense over time.
And then the nice thing is the system is so easy. It's easy to create everything. It's not, you don't have to be a rocket science.
Yeah.
You just go in and drop and click, basically.
And just something I just thought of, and I'm not sure, as your people get in and they start selling, if we have a way for her to know, keep those people separate, you could start asking those people for referrals in your area. They could become your referral agents now,
Yeah.
and you for them, right? You have an incentive to refer to them in their city as they get going and do their business.
Yep.
So good. Mary, what about, you've been doing it since what, May?
May 1st was my first ad.
You mind sharing some results? Have you added some people? It sounds like you've definitely added people to your downline in that time.
I started May 1st. I had one person in my downline prior to joining. And now I've got a total of 20 in my downline. And hang on just a second. Let me pull up my computer here and see what else I've got going. I've got, let's see, opportunities.
That's 5 a month, Mary.
Yeah. I've got 20 in the downline. I've got 5 more that are in, I've introduced to the market center. I've made the commitment. They're just not in the downline yet.
Yeah.
I've got 13 that I've referred to market centers that are kind of in the deciding phase. And of that, I'm pretty certain that I'll get at least half of those.
Yeah.
I've got another 19 that are in the nurture phase that aren't ready to be connected to the market center for one reason or another. They don't have the cash to join yet. They're still in classes and they have to take their test, or they're in K-score. And I figure I'll probably get at least a third of those.
Yeah, I love it.
And so, yeah, and then I've got 3 discovery calls scheduled right now. I was looking at all this today, and I realized I got to run some ads again because I had turned off the ads earlier in the month because I was like, I'm kind of overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So and then I thought, oh, I've only had 3 discovery calls scheduled right now. I need to turn them back on.
Yeah.
But I also have another in the pre-discovery column, the first one.
Mhm.
I put anybody that responds to my text messages or email in that column because I consider them a higher priority lead.
Sure.
And I reach out to them more often. But I've got, what is it? Oops, hold on. I think 76 in that 75 in that column. And then I've got a total of 295 altogether in the whole system.
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
I love it.
So good.
Yeah, the amazing thing was when I started the ads, they were the platform I used said that if I, in a month, I should expect about 18 ads a month or leads a month. And I was getting, I think, like 60. I mean, it was a crazy amount. So that's why I'm kind of overwhelmed.
So 2 last questions, Mary. We'll wrap up today. First question I want to know is how much are you budgeting for ads? And then the last question is advice for those who want to do what you've done. What would you give? What would you tell them?
Initially, I was budgeting about $180 a month. I was doing the minimum. But now I think the minimum has raised in the platform, so it's like $9 a day. So I'll be budgeting $300 a month at this point to cover that. And
your partner's going to cover some.
Well, and the other thing to remember, Mary, is you don't have to run your ad all the time, right? So you can set, you only want to do it for 10 days, right?
Yeah.
15.
Yeah, well, and that's true. Yeah. So, and I'll likely do something like that because I do see such an influx, or at least I did with this first time.
Yep.
And then, and I'll just turn it on and off as needed. But my goal is to hit 50 in my first line by the end of the year.
I
great.
love that. Well, you
might give Nick a run for his
You're
money.
well on your way, Mary. I love seeing that.
So, and then as far as advice, just, you can let the system do it for you. Just do the system. Or you can do like I did and just add a few extra things. Don't get too overwhelmed with it. Just take it one step at a time. If you have any problems, reach out to Press because their support is phenomenal. The few problems that I had, they were resolved really quickly and very easily. And then aside from that, it's consistency, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is you're not going to get everybody.
Right.
Follow up to make sure that the ones you think you're going to get, you actually get.
Yeah.
That's the big one.
Yes.
And then after the fact, once they join, don't abandon them.
Yeah.
The other thing that I do too to try to really make sure they get a head start. So when we have the call, I ask them about what do you know about the day in the life of a real estate agent because I want them to have realistic expectations.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And in that, I bring up lead generation. So we talk really hard about lead generation is your number one priority.
Yeah.
Even after you start getting busy. We talk, I always ask them, what do they know about Keller Williams? And of course, and what attracts you to Keller Williams? And it's always the training.
Mm-hmm.
And so I talk really hard about productivity coaching.
Yeah.
And why that's really good for them. Because I want them to get a good start and I want them in production as quickly as possible. It helps them and it helps me.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then when I always try to have a conversation with the team leader, a very brief one. Just so I can tell them what I've shared too.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So good.
Well, Mary, we always want to look for ways that we can add value to people. So how would someone, if they want to send you a referral to Columbus, Ohio, how would they find you and reach out to you?
You can find me in White Pages or you can call me on my cell, 614-581-6381, or send me an email to mlteam@kw.com.
I love it, Mary. And we just want you to keep building wealth while you're changing lives and leaving a legacy. Thank you for being someone who made a commitment and took action.
Thank you. Because I tell you, I would not have done as well in profit share without this system. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
This was built for me and people like me.
Yeah, love that. Awesome. Well, thank you, Mary. Thank you. And first of all, thanks for coming up at the end of the class and sharing your story, because we're excited to let everybody on our podcast community hear your profit share story, and so maybe inspire them to do the same thing.
That's right.
Yeah. I'm excited about it. I'm excited.
If you want to be like Mary and you want to leverage the system, you can go to profitsharesites.com and get signed up. I also do a webinar every single month, so feel free to shoot me an email at P-R-E-S, McKissack at kw.com, and we'll make sure you get on the list for that as well.
If you have a guest or someone, a great story about Profit Share, we'd love to feature you on the Profit Share podcast.
Yep, absolutely.
So, Mary, thank you. We appreciate you.
Thanks, Mary.
Thank you.